Very good evening, all the viewers and listeners around the world. I have decided to speak out a few words from my consciousness uh, so that I can express my concern over what has been happening for over a month now between Russia, one of the former powers, one of the former superpowers of the world, and one of the splinters of the former Soviet Union, now Ukraine, an independent nation. If I'm not mistaken, perhaps the conflicts between Russia and Ukraine started on the 24th of February. And before that, there had been lots of news stories about the possible conflicts to start between the two countries. Uh, and I understand that the main problem that triggered the conflicts between the two countries was related to Ukraine's avowed statement that it would be joining NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, led by the US, that is known as and discussed as and talked about as America. Because when you talk about American interference, American intervention, then you definitely point to the USA. So, and on the other hand, Russia not taking it well that Ukraine should be part of NATO because Ukraine is very close to Russia and it is taken as a threat to the Russian integrity and Russian sovereignty because of the chronic uh, Cold War between Russia on the one hand and the NATO led by the US on the other. So many countries that once had been uh, in the Soviet socialist republics, now these countries became free or independent because of the openness and reformation uh, moves made by the former president of the Soviet Union, Gorbachev. I think that wars on any excuses must be avoided. Wars are not solutions to problems that exist between nations or among nations or anywhere in the world, but wars are problems. They aggravate the problems. They create new problems and they dim the prospects of humanity. Wars, conflicts are always anti human, anti peace. And not only anti humans, even the non humans, even other creatures that are in our forests, that are in our suppose left out areas, I mean, uninhabited areas where so many kinds of creatures, tiny creatures, as suppose a tree. When we see a tree, we think of the existence of the tree only, that there is a tree and the branches of the trees on its body and all. But a tree is a home of hundreds of creatures, the ants, the squirrels, the termites, so many other creatures that you can't name them all. So a tree is not only a tree, but it's a home of so many creatures, so many organisms, so many living things that nature has made. So wars don't kill humans, don't destroy the properties made by humans and their machines, but wars kill the conscience of very existential forces, the conscience of all the things that wish to live. and live through its nature-given tenure. Human beings are born and other creatures are born to live naturally, to die naturally, and deaths take place because of accidents. But wars are not accidents. Wars are planned out and thought out activities which are demoniac, satanic. You see, thousands and thousands of people have been killed on either side. They say that Russians have lost their soldiers in thousands. Ukrainians have lost their soldiers in thousands, and perhaps twice as many as Russians may have lost. And then over 5 million people, they have been refugees uh, uh, from Ukraine, and they have moved out to other neighboring countries, particularly Poland, which is so very near. And we see the whole world, even the UN General Assembly having meetings and all, and condemning Russia's intervention or military onslaught on Ukraine, which is very small and whose population is much smaller than the population of Russia, or whose military might is much less than that of Russia. So, as a citizen of the world, as a person who believes in natural living, natural coexistence, societies have been divided, the earth has been divided into countries, and I don't know how far it is correct to have so many countries. Why not the whole earth uh, administered, ruled by conscientious people from all parts of the world? As Oliver Goldsmith, George Bernard Shaw, Bertrand Russell, once upon a time when they lived, they had been writing and talking about the world government or the world being one place. So the world, our earth, our planet has been divided into continents, 5, 6 continents, and our world has been divided into subcontinents. Our world has been divided into countries, states, nations, whatever way you call them. Maybe there are logicalities, reasons behind the divisions for the sake of the convenience in administration and ruling and all that. But this is also a fact that the more we divide our societies, the more stains are made, marks of wounds are made. Because divisions, when you divide, then there is something that is wasted. The dividing lines become wasteful. They become the bones of contentions. Dividing lines are sometimes honored, sometimes not honored, sometimes because of the dividing lines, they, the people, the society, the nations on either side of the lines, or on different sides of the lines, they start claiming and reclaiming their rights over the lines themselves, and then they say that the lines have not been drawn justifiably and all that. So excuses are always there. And I remember one of the essays that I had read, Scientists' Double Responsibility. Scientists should not only invent and discover things, scientists should not only help in making formulas or giving formulas as to how to make atom bombs, how to make deadly weapons, how to manufacture killing suppose instruments and things in the world, but this should be devoting more time to correcting human nature. In human nature, we have so many negatives. We have jealousy, we have envy, we have arrogance, we have greed, we have complexes, uh, all kinds of things are there, and they have not been belittled, or they have not been handled, they have not been given attention to in terms of getting them corrected or minimizing our jealousy, our level of jealousy, human level of jealousy, human level of envy, arrogance, and all that. Scientists have done very little. It's a challenge because it's because of the negative things that we become angry, we become supercilious, we become arrogant, we become jealous, we become rivals not competitors, not competitors in terms of having developments in our so-called areas, so-called nations, and allowing these developments or fruits of developments to be used by other people if they have not been able to do that. Because all people in all parts of the world are equally not competent or not competent equally to have developments, to go further in civilization, to have better yields of things that we need as food, and to have better yields of our mental and conscientious power. That we try to be good and better and better and better, that is not happening. Whenever I turn on the television or I get on to any other channel of news and activities that have been happening in the world, it disturbs me to see that refugees, people become children, they suffer. They have been living in bunkers now almost a month, over a month, and they don't know why wars are started, why wars are triggered. They don't know anything. They are innocent. Even adults, suppose 45 years, 50 years, they don't have anything to do with NATO or the Russian concerns about their being vulnerable if Ukraine joined NATO, and Americans and other nations of the NATO, the members of the NATO, making it a point or telling Russia that, well, Ukraine is going to be a member of the NATO, and you can't prevent an independent nation to be a member of any organization that it wants to join. It's all tug of war. You want to have it pulled in your favor. You want to have it brought into your favor. Others want the same way. So, clash of interests. But what is the real interest? The real interest, everybody's interest has to be this, that the world remains, that peace prevails, that humanity prevails, that love and cooperation, okay, certain level of jealousy and envy and arrogance and all kinds of negatives are there as long as we are human beings, because this world, these societies, our world is not that perfect. We can't be perfectionists, we can't be idealists, because we are born weak. Innate negatives are there in us, but if we try, we can minimize our negatives, and then we can have a world that has a semblance of overall peace, semblance of civility, semblance of tolerance on everybody's part. But we say something, we do something different. When we are in front of the cameras, having summits and meetings, a group of 7 or group of 20 or whatever, it's all because of selfishness that has grown into us. It's all because of materialistic progresses that we believe in. We don't believe in the spiritualistic progress that we have to be tolerant. We have to believe and believe very firmly and practice that firm belief that we have to live and we have to let others live. We only talk in terms of principles that all of us are together, races are all bad things to talk about, white race, yellow race, black race, and all that. We are all human beings. And it is not within us, within our power, to be born as whites or to be born as blacks or to be born as whatever. Perhaps the preferred color of skin would be fair complexion. That is all right. You don't have to be white, you don't have to be black. But then it is not within the control of a baby that is to be born. You never know where you are going to be born. So what I think is that nature makes us, nature creates us, nature gives us birth in whatever form, whatever shape it wants to. It's a question of nature's discretion. If discriminations are made in births, because of births taking place in poor areas, births taking place in rich areas. So if you are born in rich areas, it's a quirk of fate or quirk of nature's action. If you are born in the poor societies, poor countries, uneducated, then it's not your mistake. It's the mistake of the giver of birth, nature. So certain things are given and we can't change them. But we have to understand that whatever conditions, whatever skin colors we have, whatever poverty levels we have, or levels of richness we have, riches we have to live, because life is all the more important. Life is the most important thing. A blind person also wants to live, and a blind person knows that his life is handicapped, but he takes his blindness for granted. If the blindness is incurable, it can't be cured. So even a blind person wants to live, even a deaf person wants to live, a multiply handicapped person wants to live, as long as nature allows that person to live. People who are equipped in all the ways, positively equipped, people who are symmetrically made, symmetrically built in their physical, suppose terms, physical organs, physical components of their existence, their bodies, everything is all right. And they also have to live, they should live nicely. So the war that is continuing, and earlier they said that within 7 days, 8 days, but even for the second war is so much bad. The very idea of triggering war or getting into war, and this idea is hellish, satanic ideas. And people, the so-called leaders of the world, I have spoken earlier also on so many topics, that the so-called leaders are not the leaders, they are misleaders. They are opportunists for the sake of their own arrogance, for the sake of their own negative satisfaction mentality. Satisfaction what? You get satisfied by being good. You get satisfied. You take satisfaction from the fact that you have served the world and you have done something to integrate the world. You have done something to make the world realize that together we live, and together we progress, together we make our life better and better. But if we get into conflicts in the name of this or that, because of this and that, and we allow controversies in the name of postmodernism or deconstruction sort of theories, that freedom, human freedom of thinking, human freedom of speaking, writing, all that, but thinking, but freedom to make chaos, freedom to do anything, freedom to damage the world itself, damage nature. Uh, what sort of freedom it is? There can't be absolute freedom to any individual or to any group or to any society. We all have to be under the yoke of our makers, because life is a one-time affair. And whatever capacity of thinking, whatever capacity of manufacturing, whatever capacity of producing, whatever capacity of understanding things intelligently or less intelligently, or rather in a dull way, we should try to be more intelligent, we should try to be sharper, we should try to be more productive, we should try to be more cementing. It means in every direction we should try, but capacities are not, again, equally conferred on human beings. So if sincerely we make use of our capacity given to us by nature, that is what is all right, that is what is desirable. So people are getting so hypocritical. Nations, and that itself is a bad idea of dividing our world. Why not one world and all people of the world, the citizens of the world, and they work according to their capacity, they consume according to their needs, and all of them have a set target, or should have a set target, that we have to make this world beautiful. The earth has to be made beautiful first, and then we can think of, because of the earth getting overburdened because of the rising population, and we should think of peopling another or other worlds. Planets are there, other planets are there, moon is there, and we often hear that in the next 40, 50 years, the moon would be, you can say, inhabited by human beings, other planets are there. That is a good idea. But is destroying the world and then sending, you can say, missions into space and capturing the Antarctica or doing something Antarctica. But whatever is already with us that we spoil, we destroy, we damage, as G.M. Hopkins, Gerard Manley Hopkins, in one of his poems, God's Grandeur, and he himself was a Jesuit priest, but he had a great instinct of a poet, and he talked about how badly we have treated the earth, that we have been tearing and searing and blearing the earth, and we have been trying to make it good for nothing. We are trying to get it go whatever way it can go, and we go on extracting all kinds of things, exploiting nature for our selfish ends, for our arrogance, or for our show-offs, that we have these many things, and consumerist sort of approach, that the more you consume, the smarter you are, the more you exploit, the cleverer you are, the more you do damage without being caught or without being seen. That is smartness, that's education, so bad. And finally, J.M. Hopkins says that the earth cannot be rendered infertile or ugly to the extent of beyond redemption. The earth is being guarded by the Holy Ghost, and that is immanent, that is everywhere hiding, and it comes up. So all the searings and blearings and all the atrocities that we commit on the earth would come to no avail. But then that is optimism. If we go on destructing nature, if we go on doing everything that is negative, then we can't. Even the Holy Ghost would be in problem to get things back to their original capacity. There's a saying, God helps those who help themselves. So most of us, if we become atheists, satanic, and we go on destroying our gift and that nature has given to us, that God has given to us, then even God will be indifferent that, oh, these wretched creatures, I made them, or we made them to be responsible, and to be conscientious, to be good, and we gave them everything to enjoy life and to sustain life and to make life progressive, to make life more and more beautiful, because we have given them resources and we have given them heart and mind. But these people, they don't exercise their hearts, their minds properly. They don't make use of the resources we have given. Rather, they are abusing the resources, misusing the resources. So even the Holy Ghost, I think, would not be interested in getting things back or remaking things, rebuilding things, because how long can you tolerate the misbehavior, the satanic behavior that we have been doing? So presently, the war that is going on, and some of the countries are benefiting by selling their arms. Some of the countries are benefiting in other ways. So even worse conditions are exploited or are turned into conditions of opportunities of trade and commerce and making profit and all that. How devilish, how hateful, how contemptuous it's all is. Um, Even if 5 to 10% people are conscientious in the world, I know these people have the power. These people have to them blessings of the Almighty's, our Lordships. So these people, 5 to 10% people, if they exercise their will, their positive will, and if they pray well to our Almighty's, and if they come together, then 90% of the evils can be scouted, they can be driven out, or they can be silenced. Warmongers or war triggering people or forces, these people have to be exposed. Bad people have to be brought to their senses. They have to be brought to justice. They have to be silenced, because goodness has much power. Truth has much power. 10% people, if true, their power is more than the devilish power of the 90% people. So, as an ordinary citizen, because I'm not a millionaire, not a billionaire, I am not a political maneuverer. I'm not a member of any party or any lobby or any group or that, but just as an ordinary human being who has seen nature, who has so much of love of nature, because trees are there, our gardens are there, our rivers are there, ponds are there. If things are there, then we live. In spite of the odds of life, in spite of the diseases that come on our bodies, in spite of so many catastrophes that we have to go through, at least we have certain things intact around us. Nature is there, water is clean, air is clean, because we don't make use of chemicals, we don't make create fumes and smokes and all that. So the basics are there, and these basics can help us live our life, at least semblance of life. But the outrageous wars, the conflicts in one part of the world sometimes, then in the other part of the world, and satanic people posing as the leaders of the world, these people, in fact, are not the leaders. And they are the misleaders, they are satanic people. And it's an irony that politics or the so-called democracy should be Platonic democracy. And the leaders, the rulers have to be conscientious people, people who don't have vested interests, people who don't have uh, any hidden agenda, people who don't have selfishness beyond the limit. As human beings, we have to be selfish. It is selfishness that makes us good. Oh, I have to be better, I have to be good. And because if I become good, if I become better, if I produce more, if I give to the world more, then people will praise me. And if people praise me, then I get happy. So in order to be happy, I get motivated to do better work. And this is all right. This is so noble selfishness, that you are selfish, you want to be in the limelight, you want to be respected, you want to be talked about, you want to be taken as a good human being, and out of that situation you get pleasure, and for that pleasure you work. So you work selfishly because you want to have pleasure, but then that selfishness is positive. That is all right. That is good. That sort of selfishness all of us should have. That sort of motto all of us should have, that we progress and all. So please, the people of the world, if you have any conscience left in you, even the so-called leaders who are misleaders or misguides, I appeal to you that please revise your thoughts, revise your priorities. The world should not suffer. We shouldn't have atom bombs, we shouldn't have hydrogen bombs, we should have beautiful gardens, we should have competitions, we should have Olympics, we should have games and sports, not for pride but for pleasure. Olympics that used to happen earlier, that you would have laurels on your head, you would have certain flowers and certain bouquets given to you because of your victory, not like the ones that we indulge in all kinds of malpractices to get medals and all that, change the rules, and the referees, the people who are made arbiters during the games, sometimes they act dishonestly, and the real, suppose the deserving sports people, they don't get the medals that they deserve, but other people get who are not so deserving. Hence, I appeal to all the conscientious people of the world, the pacifistic sort of people of the world, the people who want to have peace, the people who want to live normal life, and the people who want to enjoy the beauty of nature that God has given us, or nature has created in her own embrace, in her own, suppose, arena, for our pleasure, for our comfort taking situation, for our betterment, for our joy, for our romance with nature. Let us be romantic with nature by crediting it what it has and what it has given us, by adding to the beauty of nature, doing things that we can do So please, the leaders of the world, the so-called influential people of the world, the so-called theorists of the world, the so-called opinion makers of the world, and the so-called powerful people of the world, whatever form, whatever shape, whatever groups or affiliations you have, please come to the rescue of the suffering humanity, and let there be no suffering because of our misdoings, our arrogance. If sufferings come into our life or in our life because of nature, okay, those sufferings would have to be taken because we don't have control. But whatever is within our control, that has to be seen, that has to be referred to our conscience. Let us not be satanic, let us not be killing, let us not be devouring, let us be nurturing, let us be of the type of showing kindness or having sympathies or having good feelings for one another. Let us be principled, and this should be the main principle, that we want to live and we don't do anything that becomes trouble to others' living passion or others' way of or others' desire of living. Let us live and let others live, and for that, please be sensible and be good as much as you can. Be productive. Be cementing. Be integrating. Be in a frame of mind and that helps you get on the constructive track, on the creative track, not at all on the destructive track or tracks. So, and these are the words that I have used, and these are the words I hope would be taken, heard by millions of people in the world. And I would like to request the YouTube to to make my words public, to make my expression public, so that others get to know what feelings I have had, what thoughts I have had, and what sort of suggestions I have made, what is the appeal that I have made to the world people. Please see to it that my words go across, and if and they are taken as the sincere expression, as the words that have come out from my system spontaneously, without any vested interest, without any intention. Please make use of the words that I have spoken. Maybe, who knows, these words may have an impact, or may have at least some impact on the people of the world, the powerful people of the world, the people who are in authorities, the people who matter, the people who can control things. So, this much. God bless us all. Bye bye. God bless us all. Bye bye.